Hello, everyone. My name is Kenton Kavestu. I'm an ex-Googler, an ex-BCG consultant, and the founder of RocketBlocks, an online platform that helps candidates prepare for interviews. In today's RocketBlocks mini lesson, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to sit down with one of our RocketBlocks experts, Rob Reiling, who's a former engagement manager from McKinsey and currently a general manager at the real estate tech startup Opendoor. And in this conversation, which we're doing over Zoom, given all the current status with coronavirus, we are going to touch on a few different topics over the course of this series. We're going to talk about consulting interviews in general and his advice, his insights from being an interviewer at McKinsey and sitting on the other side of the table, and finally, what it's like to actually be on the job at McKinsey as a consultant and an engagement manager. So let's go ahead and jump in. Tell me a little bit about what the day in the life of a McKinsey engagement manager is like. And I know there's a lot of variance, and that's
Yeah,
the hardest part, that it depends. But if you could talk about some of the commonalities and give us some sense of that.
sure. I mean, I think the kind of like in any management position, right? Like your number one job should be um doing everything possible to keep the thrash and the pressure off of your team members that's coming from like all different angles, and making sure that they are focused on the highest impact things that are going to deliver to the client, and also like obviously keep your partners happy and like the senior partners happy.
Yep.
Um, and so, like, what does that look like, right? Like, one, for better or worse, it looks like a ton of meetings during the day, right? Where, and hopefully you're able to like keep your team members out of a lot of those, right? So that they are able to like keep working.
Yep.
Um,
So
a
you're the
lot of meetings,
umbrella, the meeting umbrella
yeah,
protecting.
exactly. The meeting umbrella, right? Because you got to keep the, it's not that dissimilar to like a product manager where you're basically trying to like save the developers and save the engineers for like any thrash that's going to hit them so they keep their fingers on the keys,
Yep.
right? And so I think that is really important. So you're gathering the direction from like all the various stakeholders, and then hopefully you're crossing it with the insights that are coming out of the team's work,
Yep.
right? Seeing where that like is moving the direction of the process, and then pushing forward, right? One of the unfortunate things about being the meeting umbrella during the day is that like that means that you need to be like the worker and the reviewer at night,
Yep.
right? Like you end up with like that mix of work going on.
And tell me a little bit about, sorry to interrupt, but tell me a little bit about what are the sources of thrash commonly for an engagement manager? And then after that, talk a little bit about what is that individual work when you say like you got to be the reviewer and the something else at night. But like
Yeah,
tell me like what that sort of aspect of the job looks like.
sure. I mean, uh, sources of thrash are multiple, right? Like they are both like overactive clients and extremely demanding clients,
Yep.
and overactive partners and extremely demanding partners, right? And it like your job is the engagement manager, right? Because like you end up as the nexus of a lot of these different parts, is making sure that you are like continuing to reorient all of those players onto like the most important deliverables that you have promised as a team, and not allowing like scope creep, and making sure that like you are staying super focused. Now, like you're not always right? Like, and the thing that you thought was the most important thing on Monday, like you have to listen to good ideas as they're coming from the client and coming from the senior partners, but you also need to push against things that feel like um lots of work for little return, and it's your job to like understand what that is. What was your other question?
You talked about the difference of, because you're the meeting umbrella during the day, it
Oh,
means
yeah.
you're essentially the reviewer at night. So talk a little bit about what you mean by that.
Yeah, so I mean, so then in the evening, right? Like ideally, as an engagement manager, and certainly as you get more senior in the role, you are spending much more time editing than you are creating.
Yep.
And so like by evening time you should be reviewing both like slides and analytics approaches that have been generated by the team, such that like you're able to turn that around for them in the evening, and they can work up in the morning and like continue to like move things forward. Also, a lot of your team meetings are going to be at night where you're spending the one-on-one time talking development. All of that's going to take place then.
Great. I hope you enjoyed that excerpt from my conversation with Rob Reiling. If there are specific questions or topics you'd love to see us discuss with RocketBlocks experts in the future, please leave those in the comments below and we'll consider them for future interviews. So thank you so much for watching. We have a ton of great content coming out on both the consulting and the product management career path in a weekly basis. So if you haven't subscribed yet already, there is a big red button below. Please do so now. And thanks again for watching and have a great day.